Hello and welcome to Wednesdays with Willa. I am your podcast host, Willa White, and this is my weekly podcast show that airs on Wednesday mornings at 10 a.m. Eastern on my Facebook page, Willa White Medium. It also goes out on my YouTube channel as well as the Lilydale Assembly Facebook page. This is year 9 of episodes of Wednesdays with Willa, so I encourage you to look back at the archive videos of the show, or if you miss a live show, you can always watch the replay. I would refer you to my YouTube channel, Willa White, because Facebook, after 30 days, gets rid of all live videos. So the YouTube channel is your best place so that you can binge watch to your heart's content all of the great episodes regarding spiritualism, mediumship, healing, faith, family, and more. And a few announcements. The Lilydale Assembly is getting the 2026 calendar set for the workshops. So you're going to want to go to the lilydaleassembly.org website in the next coming weeks so that you can start getting registered and start planning your visit for 2026. We're really excited to have that up and ready for people by February. And that way you can make the most of your visit here at this very special place. Also, need to announce I do have wonderful live classes for January. My Monday night circle series starts on January 26th, and it's an 8-week program, and it's a wonderful group of students, beginners, intermediate, and advanced. I also run immersion programs, but those are waitlist only. And I do have my Living the Laws of Spirit class, which is a 6-week series focused on spiritual natural law and how to take it out of theory and actually put it into practice in your life. You can find more information about that on online classes page of my website, willawhite.com. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce our guest for today. She's back with us. This is Patricia Bell. Hello, Patricia.
Hello, Willa. Always a pleasure to be with you. We have a great time together. We
We
really
sure
do.
We absolutely do. And for those of you who don't know who Patricia Bell is, she is a registered Lilydale medium and host of the Lilydale Astrology Cafe. And she is your best guide to celebrating the year of the horse this year. So she's here on the show to help us understand more about this year of the fire horse, I believe it is. And she was on last year to talk about the year of the snake, and we're moving on into a new Chinese year. It's kind of fun just to see what is evolving with each of the animals and the symbols associated with it. So Patricia's going to guide us through that today.
Well, Willa, it's interesting that people who never talk about a Chinese year are talking about the year of the fire horse. I mean, it's like even regular astrologers, people go, oh, it's the year of the fire horse because it's particularly significant. But before I get into the significance about each and every one of us, I'd like you to understand how important it is. The fire horse was called upon by the Jade Emperor, and the Jade Emperor blessed the fire horse because it was the horse that took him to heaven. So when we are thinking of this horse, thinking of yourself. And to me, this is the year of spiritual evolvement. Really important, spiritual evolvement. Now, as far as the horse getting on the Chinese calendar, you would say, oh my gosh, if this horse can get to heaven, why wasn't this the first animal in the zodiac? Well, the horse took people on his back or animals on his back. He took the rabbit and he took the snake. Unfortunately, the rabbit's fears led him down the wrong path. And the snake had him traveling through the woods. But they all eventually made it to nirvana. But think about it. I mean, really, when we have this opportunity of this fire horse to evolve, are we going to be led down the wrong path? Are we going to feel like we're in the dark woods of our emotions that doesn't allow us this opportunity to get us on this incredible spiritual path? This is why, to me, it's so exciting that we here in Lilydale, and our beautiful host here has classes to assist us in this evolutionary aspect. Now, think about it. This happens on the new moon. Now, why does Chinese astrology or any of this connect with spiritualism? Because in the Orient, they honor the ancestors and they feel as though communication with the ancestors is sacred. So if we're going to evolve, we're not just evolving for ourselves alone, but we're also evolving for our ancestral links forward and backwards, just like Native American Indians talk about. It's sort of as though this is an immensely powerful year. From a Western point of astrology, we are having an eclipse right on the day of the Chinese New Year, which is in Aquarius, which is opening up to the consciousness of our group mind. So we have to look at it. Are we going to open ourselves up to fear? Are we going to open ourselves up to the opportunity to take ourselves to higher ground? And I find it so interesting, Willa. The horse is all about movement. And what are we seeing right now in the United States, around the world? People are moving.
Mhm.
And my best example of it is the monks. Oh my gosh, we have these monks moving for peace, and people are walking behind them. It's as though they're moving the consciousness to explain this is the essence of where we're evolving. This is where we want to evolve because war doesn't necessarily create peace, to say the least, but it does create a lot of sorrow, for those who are involved in it and for those who find devastating change. But yet, there is an amazing, amazing aspect. And I was just reading today about a peaceful demonstration, and there was an argumentative person there. And that argumentative person, who was not advocating peace, got hurt. But yet, two of the people there who were on the peaceful side went and stood by him to help him heal his wounds. See how consciousness can work? That even though there's someone that we may feel beliefs are totally against ours, that we can still have this evolution of consciousness, knowing that we're all one, knowing that we are walking into a new world that we have never seen before. Never. Are there going to be bumps in this year? Yeah. Because, there are people that are going to be very fearful. And there are people who haven't let go of their past. And that's part of the bumps. But yet, we're still looking at our ancestral strengths. We're looking at this is the wonderful part about, to me, being involved in this, is especially as a spiritualist, is because we know we have this connection to not only personally evolve, but take the people we love with us.
That's so beautiful. And I think it's going to be an interesting year, as you say, and perhaps we could tell people a little bit about when the Chinese New Year officially starts, and how there's a structure of different animals. Like most people, if they're familiar at all with the Chinese zodiac, is that you go to a Chinese restaurant. I know when I was a child, we would go, they would have placemats and it would have the different, you were a particular year if you, and you fell into a certain animal.
Mhm.
And sometimes there would be a snip of what that meant, and sometimes there wouldn't. But I think for a lot of people, they're not as familiar with that understanding of the Chinese year. So when officially does that start?
It's February the 17th is the Chinese New Year date.
And so
And
on that particular date is when they start to have a whole celebration.
well, they start the New Year's Eve also with the celebration. The time with the New Year's Eve and the actual Chinese New Year is mostly considered like family time. And
Mm,
it goes on to be celebrated from this new moon to the full moon. And
okay.
so it takes it out to the community. But
Hmm.
there's also a part of loving and sharing. This is why you hear about certain foods being eaten. Now, you eat dumplings because that's supposed to be little bags of money. You eat,
Oh, money bags, money dumplings.
yes, money bags. You eat long noodles because that's supposed to represent long life.
Oh, longevity. Okay. Are
Yes,
you supposed to slurp it up as long, you know?
yeah, yeah. And you eat oranges for health. I mean, the Chinese were doing this long before we talked about vitamin C, but it's sort of the consciousness. And yes, they eat fish because fish represents prosperity.
Mhm.
And it's the sweetness that they have from their bean curd to, they don't eat our traditional desserts. Most of the time, uh, if they don't have the curds or a special dessert made, they eat oranges because that's the important part of the wellness. Now, as far as the zodiac goes, the idea of it was that Buddha was ascending to nirvana, and there are 12 animals that get to ascend with him. The first one that ascended was the rat, the second was the ox. And all of them had a story, just like the horse, okay? And then comes the tiger, and then comes the rabbit, then comes the dragon, the snake, the horse, the goat, the monkey, the rooster, the dog, the pig, and there we are again. And so, but see, that's just the basics of it, Willa.
Right,
In
right.
in it, there are elements. Like this is fire.
Mm-hmm.
And so the red is very predominant. Now, in the year that you're born, you're not only that year, but you're also that element. Like I was born in the year of the ox, but I was born in an earth ox.
Okay.
So what does that mean? Well, does earth move fast? Do oxes move fast? No. Do they work hard? Yes. So let's say you're an earth horse rather than a fire horse, which might be considered a thoroughbred who runs very fast. But you're an earth horse. You may be the workhorse. You understand? And it's just, there's different aspects of how the horse is going to be. And same thing with each zodiac sign. So here we are in fire. Again, we can even talk about the fact that 2026, the year itself, adds up to a one, adds up to new beginnings, adds up to the fact that let's think about what happened 60 years ago. That's right. 60 years ago, we were still talking about the rebellion. We were talking about the end of the Vietnam War. We were talking about gender. We were talking about all of these things where there were students who were fighting against authorities. There was huge protests. There was fall of the wall. There's all of these things that when you look back and you see historically what happened, you can say, wow,
So you're
that was
saying there's a significance with 60 years? Is that because there's a 60
that
year
because that was a fire horse 60 years ago.
60 years ago was the fire horse? I see.
So
Thank
you're looking at the fire and the horse.
you.
You see, every 12 years, the animal returns to its sign. So you can be a earth horse, a metal horse, a water horse.
It would be like a seahorse, right?
Horse. Yeah, exactly. And you
So,
might even consider having seahorses as part of your emblem because it's, each aspect is working through other multidimensional aspects of who you are.
so with
Now,
the horse, there's a different speed. Like you say, it could be very much plodding, like the earth horse would be. But you said that the fire horse is the thoroughbred. So is it pretty much hang on, hang
yes,
on, make sure you're in the saddle really well.
this is an incredible year of change and a need for freedom. This is a year where you have to be your, remember, we're talking evolvement. You and I can't spiritually evolve unless we're being our authentic self.
True.
And it's a year of how do we get inside?
Hmm.
The monks are walking and they pray and they walk as a movement.
Mhm.
People are singing in certain cities as a movement to the energy there. So chanting can be a sense. Now,
Because that would also be,
mhm,
has
mhm.
that kind of rhythm to it.
And the breath is so important. That horse is moving because it has a synergy in its breath. This year is going to make your head spin. It's going to move so fast. I mean, I can't believe that we are where we are already. I mean, wasn't it just the holidays? I mean, it's like
Yeah. So there,
we are moving.
it seems like there's this momentum that's carrying us full forward, and that we have to be more of our bold selves during this time, would you say?
Our authentic
Or
self.
our bold, kind of authentic self, but also I like what you said. We also need to look to the interior, do things that are more on the interior, because that's what's really going to help us to be more in harmony with the external, as if we work on that internal, correct?
Yes. Think about a racehorse. A racehorse paces themselves. You know, Alan Cohen wrote the book about the fire in the belly, about our passion. This is a year where we get to be our authentic self. And if we allow ourselves to go in, we can truly find that fire in the belly and know without a shadow of a doubt what it is. The confusion happens for people who are stuck, that they are so used to a certain routine that they can't move quickly. All right. I want changes happening, and it happens very quick. And for a lot of people, change may happen very quickly. Remember, this is just not you and me. This is the planet that's going to be moving very quickly. And it's the energy everywhere that we are going to see change. But we're also going to see the establishment of a consciousness that is changing. Are we going to go for peace versus fear? Are we going to let go of what kept us in the woods so that we can be more move forward, so that we can be the light that warms others? You know, this aspect has a lot to do with the elements. If you are an earth, you're not going to move that fast. Just like metal, metal thinks a lot. And metal, sometimes metal, you have to hammer and do that to be able to make it work for you. Whereas, fire doesn't care about earth or metal. And, you know, the key here is that when we get into water, we can really get stuck.
Mm.
Yet, when we get to wood, what do you do? What makes fire grow? Chop wood and put it in your furnace or your fireplace, and you make a fire. So we came from the wood snake, all right, which
Okay.
was shedding of the skin. Okay, and the message has been continuing, and it says, get ready, prepared. Now, when does the preparation begin? Technically, at the solstice is when we begin to start letting go of the wood snake. But yet, from now until February 17th, we may be able to see parts of the things that we have to let go of.
Oh, so you're saying from December 21st, the winter solstice is
Mhm.
what you're talking about until February 17th. That's the
That's for this year or for the new moon in Aquarius.
okay. Interesting.
Because it's very, very powerful. You know, they will also talk about how do you prepare? Well, clean your house. And you got plenty of time to do it now, to get your house clean, to get your bills paid, to, do those things so that you're prepared. In fact, they even advise do not do any cleaning or doctor's appointments around the Chinese New Year
Mm.
so that you can absorb the good luck and the energy of it. Technically, and I don't know as Americans that we always do this, but when it comes to the new year, yes, we try to get ourselves in order. But do we take time to absorb and be grateful for another year? Because that's a piece of it. I mean, I know how grateful I am for my family, for my cat, for my Lilydale people, for everyone that I'm able to embrace that comes to visit and sees me, that gratitude is always going to be a piece of this because that's what takes us out of the dark woods. When we say, okay, am I overwhelmed? Yes. I'm going to sit here, going to be grateful. But most of all, I'm going to be grateful for my authentic self. This year's so important. You have to medically get yourself in order. I don't care how old you are, because we're affected by emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And there's going to be a lot of emotions during this year. And we're going to feel it in our heart, in our head, in our lungs. And so, what should we do? I say we have to do our breathing exercises. We have to, walking like the monks is one of the best way. Thich Nhat Hanh was one of the walking monks, that
Mm-hmm.
he believed that was a form of prayer. But, we have these spiritual gifts that we're able to use to be able to move ourselves forward in a year for some people that could be very turbulent.
And is this a time to really focus on embracing warmth, would you say, because of the fire horse? I'm just thinking of the symbol of that, of the sun, the sunshine that is available for you externally, the sun, divine fire and flame that's inside you internally, and really see the divine flame in other people as you're talking with them and interacting with them and having the communication, as you said. But is it a time to kind of go into that warmth and embrace that fire within you?
Of course it is, because that's where you find your authentic self. That's where you light your passion in your belly. This is the pilot light of who you really are. You
Beautiful. So you're
know,
like a beacon of light, even more so
right.
here.
You don't want to hide yourself under a bushel basket,
Right, right.
because each and every one of us will bring something to this year, whether you're a workhorse or a racehorse, you know?
And I guess when I think about a racehorse, I always think about how you want to go as lightly as possible. So I can understand why you'd want to make sure your house is clean, make sure everything else is cleaned up, that you've got all the medical appointments out of the way, and you've got your health in order, you've got everything set because you need to travel light and fast.
Exactly. Exactly. And the light and fast means leave the emotional stuff behind.
Mm,
That's why the dark woods.
okay.
And sometimes, and I'm not saying get heavy on the metal of your car. No, 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 no. It's don't be fearful.
Right.
Don't be fearful, because there may come some tough questions. Like, is this the career I really want? Is this where I want to live? What is it that I really, really want to create? Because as this creates change for a new consciousness, if we are our authentic self, if we have a passion, a light inside of us, we can create. That passion is so overwhelmingly creative that we can move it into another aspect. Now, I'm going to get a little bit deep on this for you.
Let's do it.
Okay. You have the 12 signs, yes. Then you have the elements. And each and every one of us goes through the elements. So, and each one of us goes through the elements of how we age. Okay. So the first 25 years of life, okay, you come out of the water into the wood to grow. All right. And that goes for the first 5 years. So think about your terrible twos and the toddlers and the movement and the da 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 da. And then from wood, you wind up going into a place of the next 5 years, which here comes to fire. Oh, look how busy 5-year-olds are till they're 10. The, as you well know, I work the children's program in Lilydale. I'm absolutely fascinated. That sense of enlightenment. How intuitive are they? And spontaneous, that they'll just say things without thinking most of the time. It's like, oh, grandpa's here, and grandpa's been in spirit for 5 years, but, it just comes out of their mouth. So then at 10, they go into their earth. And it's sort of like, where do I belong? Who do I belong with? Is this my family? Is this my school? Is this my organization? Is this my community? And so they're at 15, they go into their metal and they start to think about, how am I going to do this? Are they going to go to college? Are they going to create a career? Things of this nature. And that goes on, so now we're in their 20s, right? So from 20 to 25, we go back to the water. The essence of who they are. And, all of it is very spiritual. All of it is very spiritual. And, after going through the metal of it, we look at the essence is of understanding. Is this really what I want? And as we notice, a lot of young people between 20 and 25, some get engaged, some get married, some begin to have children. They're in that water period. So that's an example of the first, that 5-year dissection of the first 25 years. So now we're going to take it next. First 25 years, the overall umbrella is growth, is wood. From 25 to 50, the overall umbrella is fire. So that's when you see people really going out in the world, building their careers, understanding that. All right. So we've got from 25 to 50. And then at 50, we're in earth again. And we say, I've climbed the first mountain of who I am. What is my second mountain? Earth. Am I going to connect with the earth? And I know this might sound funny, but you'll notice a lot of people, once they reach 50, they love national parks. They want to connect with earth. They want to look at their future, their retirement, the family, the earthiness of it, that sense of belonging. Because the next 25, this gets you to 75. which is metal, which is what do I have?
Yeah.
What have I saved? What have I conserved? Who definitely is my community? Where do I belong? And because metal at during different periods of time does affect your mind and your nervous system, you can see why these are issues that can come up for people at these particular ages. Remember, we're talking from 75 to 100. We get to 100 and we're back to water. And you see people who live over 100. How did they make it? We've got a lot of centenarians
Maybe
nowadays.
they float.
They do, but they are babied.
Interesting.
That they have people who love them that take care of them. So, I mean, this is a fascinating map, a fascinating map. Just as the fire section is between 25 and 50, we have a fire section now. And gosh, it's interesting because we can look at people, we can look at countries, we can look at all these different aspects with these elements to them. You know, Buffalo in general has a tendency to be a very earthy community. You know, a lot of people don't like to move away from their families. You know, I'm sure you've had when you've talked to your clients, oh, it looks like you could move. Oh, no, no. Then it's down the block from my mother. You know, it's a very earthy community. But yet, this is something to really think about. Because when you're in your fire stage between 25 and 50, it really is different when you get from 50 to 75. And when you hit 75, you know, I kid people, I say, this may be the last quarter, but it's going to be your best quarter, you know? So think about it.
So
How
in
important is the last quarter?
75 is which one again? Which element is 75?
Metal.
Metal. Okay. Metal.
It's like
Yeah.
the achievements, it's how you think.
Achievement, how you think, right?
I mean, the last quarter of a football game, you know, how important is it? It's what decides how you won. It decides who you are or were in this lifetime. It decides your legacy. Do I want to be remembered as that grumpy old woman? Well, maybe some people will think of me that way, but I would like to them to think, no, she was fun. She was, you know, likable. Yeah, but those are the thoughts of, uh, and I really, if I have a quest, it's to remind people that when you get to 75, please, please stop saying, oh, I'm old. And, you know, let's elaborate on other things than ailment, ailments, you know, because unfortunately, uh, this is the mental period, remember? So what are
Right.
you thinking about? If you don't have that interaction with others. Now, I don't know if you saw the movie Nona's on Netflix, where the grandmothers created a kitchen where they cook out in the Bronx. You know, if you have a Nona or a Papa, that's still a good cook who feels like they're involved, empowered, and they're doing things. You see, most of the time, when you get to that middle stage, all right, it's where you feel that you're worthwhile. Now, that mental stage can be in older years, but each one of these 25-year sectors is the wood, fire, earth, metal, water.
Mm.
So if you're 75, you're really going to be going into wood for 5 years.
Wow. It's a lot to think about.
I mean,
I don't
I
know how you're
know.
keeping track of it all. Like, wow, there's this rotation of systems that are constantly going on with this and elements and
Well,
how it relates to us as individuals and as a whole. And I think it's useful to think about the generations as you've laid them out for us. You know, there are generational things that are going on for each group.
because you're going to ask yourself, why isn't mom and dad this way? Or why is turning 50 such a big deal? These are landmark things. But the reason I bring it up during this fire horse period, Willa, is because it is a time of enlightenment, a time of change. And each one of us are going to be in a time frame where this is how we're going to evolve. It's not like one size fits all. Oh, yes, it's going to be a fast moving year. We're all going to want our freedom. Blah, blah, blah. No, it's going to be you, internally you. And you have to look at yourself spiritually and see what you can do. I I'm blessed. I know some 90-year-olds that are powerhouses, powerhouses. I mean, unbelievable. They're moving and shaking and they're doing things. It's because with that section of metal, they stayed in community, but staying in community with joy, because
Mm-hmm.
fire is the heart, which can be joy.
Mm-hmm.
Stay in your community, be funny, be joyous, be the life of the party, you know, in your own way. Bring to the table that warmth that you're talking about, Willa.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, I love to see it with the children. When they get into that fire section, right? Between 5 and 10, they want to hug you. They want that warmth. It's like, okay. And of course, if a child asks, I don't refuse as long as it's okay with their parents.
But this is a
Oh,
time of warmth and connection if we use it
exactly.
in that way. And as much as I think of horses as a symbol of independence, I also think of them as wanting to be together. There's the sweetness of the horse herd.
Well,
And
think of that in Maryland, where the horses, when there's hurricanes, all the horses come together and they face inward and their backs breaks the storm in Maryland.
interesting.
That's how they survive these hurricanes. They don't go individually off.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, the other part of the horse is, which I think is very enlightening, is that Miraval, the very elite spa, has a horse trainer there who works with your emotions.
Hmm.
And the horse senses emotionally where you're at.
So you're saying there's a horse that's a human whisperer?
Yeah, of course there is. The horse, it can be a human whisperer. There are horses that work with children with disability. I mean, right in East Aurora, they used to have that program that horses know, and horse is power. Come on, we're told. How many horsepower is in your car? It's power.
Mhm.
And what kind of power do you want? I mean, how do you want it? But if I have, and I'm going to fess up, I've owned several horses in my lifetime. And, with the process of owning a horse, you muck stall, you cleanse them, you braid them. And there's a sense how they empower you. And if you even look at it, why is it polo so popular with such people with abundance? Why is every royal a horseback rider? I mean, the power of the horse comes in so many different forms. You just have to find the one that works for you. And the part that works for all of us is the internal part, the spiritual part. So I happen to have three horses in spirit, and which I love. I had a hunter, which was a mare. I had a jumper, and I had a gelding. And each one of them empowered me in a different way. I was very young then. It's so funny because I was in the time of my fire between 10 and 15.
Oh, yeah.
And by the time, um, and I guess, I don't know, I, I love them so much and they loved me. So in that awkward teenage year, there was this sense of empowerment from a sentient being
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
that empowered me, that said, it's okay, I will carry you. Wow. I mean, wow. And if you are a horse, if, please look at who you're carrying.
For the horse, the people who are what years do you know what those years are? I can look it up real quick.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter whether there are fire horses this year. In fact, we happen to know
Okay.
some very well.
So
But
like
the
50,
key,
1942, 54, 66, 78, 90, 2002, 2014, and also 2026, of course. Yeah.
yes. So, but also it's a reminder in the year of the horse, are you going to be misled by your fear because you're carrying that, or you're going to go into the woods?
Mm.
This is so important.
So we want a third path,
Your authentic self.
the authentic
And
self is the third more ideal path.
that's what got the horse. That's right. That, believe it or not, what happened is when you look at the zodiac, the rabbit jumped off the horse's back and the snake left. And when the snake left, that's when the horse arrived in
Mm.
the zodiac.
Interesting.
So, and rabbits carry fear, and snakes ask you to let go of your skin. So, even though they rode the horse's back, the message is so clear that we're going into a time that's going to be amazing.
Mm.
Now, we have to pace ourselves. We have to feed ourselves properly. You know, we really do. And if you've ever had a horse, you know how you have to care for them. I mean, they have to be fed, they have to be groomed, they have to have this. And, you know, of course, right now I'm in the Ocala area where we have the World Equestrian Center, and these horses here are treated much better than some people, you know. Oh,
Spa day for the horse.
yes, they have Reiki. They Reiki the horse. They do acupuncture on the horse. I mean, they do thermography. They make sure that horse's body is in order. And there was just this big, well, every culture has a holiday for animals because of what they give to us. But as we entrain with this energy,
That's an
because
interesting word, entrain. Yes, yes.
you just may have to put your foot on the brakes because I have to pace myself.
So how do you say whoa in fire
Have you
horse year? In the year of the fire horse, how do you say whoa?
You know when to say whoa. If you're on the horse's back, you know when to say whoa. Like, whoa, this is too fast for me. Whoa, I don't want to move at that pace. Whoa, all right. I want to move the way I'm going to move. Now, there's some people, and did you ever notice that, like at the Kentucky Derby, you can see it. There's blinders on horses and horse races. People may have blinders during this year,
Interesting.
that they only see their direction. This is such a multi-level time. And the year of the horse is all about communication. So who do you want to communicate with? I want to communicate with spirit. I want to go in meditation and have my horse nuzzle me and and remind me how valuable I am to them and how much fun we had together. And how, like my one horse was 17 hands, was an open jumper. We could jump an obstacle 6 feet high and 5 feet wide together.
Mm,
Wow.
incredible.
So that says to you, when you are prepared, you can jump to your heights.
Mm.
Prosperity, intuition, the things you've always wanted, the doors are going to open and you can make it through.
And so I would encourage people not to think of this year as a runaway horse. This is a horse that you're starting to kind of get your seat with, as it were, and we're working in tandem, in connection, in synchronicity with this horse. It's
Right.
mhm.
But remember, and to me, this is the year of spiritual involvement. And one way or another, the horse is going to help us get there. If we can be, as you said, in tandem and trained with the horse's energy. When you ride a horse, you start to breathe with that animal, your legs, everything. You're not separate. You embody the energy. But this is a year where the horse can spiritually heighten you to levels you never thought you would go.
As you're talking, I'm recalling that book, Gulliver's Travels, if you remember that one. And at one point, Gulliver, everybody probably remembers the Lilliputians, but then he visits with the horses, who are known as the Winhams, and uh, they have a superior intelligence. They have an even handedness to them. I shouldn't, or even hoofed, but they have a simplicity of living in harmony with nature. And I could feel as you're talking, Gulliver didn't want to be identified as one of the Yahoos, one of the humans. He really wanted to identify with the Winhams. So I think it's a year for us to remember that we can be identifying with that more superior space, that higher self, so that we can move in tandem with that energy productively and authentically and spiritually, so that we don't have to look at this year with any kind of dread or burden, but to be excited and enthusiastic about the ways we can grow in leaps and bounds to come.
Exactly. And that is your passion. You know, I, there's so much that is going to be changing this year. So it is our spiritual, we will learn how to evolve one way or another. We will see how things go. But it is with the love. Remember, fire comes from the heart. So if we are heart, we've heard of so many heart things and how we send out the heart and the heart energy. It's going to be a powerful time.
Mm, beautiful. Any last thoughts you'd like to share with viewers today about celebrating the year of the fire horse? This has been so great, but are any last things you're wanting to share with folks?
Well, I really want you to take care of yourself, because for some people it could affect their nervous system. And so I want you to drink lots of water, get massage. I recommend all alternative therapies because, especially as being parts of a community or working with people or being a mom, it's going to be a lot of energy. And now that you can have an idea of what people are going to be going through, you can look it up and you can say to yourself, okay, I can take a breath. I know that they're getting too fiery or they're too woody or, because the woods are going to want to push,
Mm.
you know. And the thing I like about Earth is we always want to go have a good meal.
Have a good meal. And then, oh, tell us the colors for this year. I know there's a color connection.
Yes, yes,
Here.
yes. We're going to look at obviously this kind of red. And now I'm not going to recommend everybody to wear red because red kind of, as you know, can increase your energy. But gold and brown, and if you feel too overwhelmed, grab yourself blues and things like that. So there's going to
Cool it.
be, and
Mhm.
it's going to be a combination of fire, and I want you to think about this. Fire, think of volcanoes, makes earth,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
earth makes metal. So this can be a very prosperous year for a lot of people. If you know how to pace yourself with the fire to make the earth, to make the money.
Amazing. A
It
year of
is
abundance.
a
Yeah.
year, it can be a year of abundance. This is why you hear this. But during years of change, do you ever notice there are some people that I love that flow with it? Trust your rhythm with the flow. If you can trust the rhythm with the flow, I think you're going to be fine. And yes, you can have your colors there. And yes, you can have your crystals there. And yes, we can have a lot of fun. So I look for the warm part of this. And remember, in the year of the fire horse, it's not a year to be alone. So reach out, have the courage, no matter where you're at, to say, either I need a hug or could you hold my hand or just be with me. And it's all going, will be with the flow.
Mm, that is so beautiful. Thank you, Patricia.
Well, thank you, Willa. And I look forward to seeing you this summer. And we'll see how we are moving right through it. And so many exciting, exciting things happening. And, you know, bless your students because they have a wonderful teacher within you that is going to help them guide them through this year. So you, my dear, are a blessing.
Oh, thank you, Patricia. You are a blessing as well. And I'm so grateful for you coming on today and explaining about this and many other things. I encourage our viewers to look back at the archive videos of shows that I've done with Patricia Bell over the years. You can go to the YouTube channel, Willa White, and then type in Patricia Bell, and you'll see all these great shows that will pop up so that you can learn other great things from her from the past shows. And please tune in next week. My guest will be Joseph Shee. We'll be talking about spiritual artistry. That is an aspect of inspired art, a really good thing to bring into your life and bring that fire up in the creativity and make some art with that. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for being here today. Like and share, follow, subscribe, all the things. And thank you, everyone. Bye bye.
Bye.